Good afternoon, I am Andrea Chisholm with the Midday News. A special welcome if you're watching on onespotmedia.com. As the debate continues on the Supreme Court's ruling on dreadlocks, there's a call this afternoon for the government to make changes. The parent of a child took the matter to the court in 2018 after Kensington Primary sought to bar the child from school because of a dreadlock hairstyle. O'Shane Masters reports.
Over 20,000 persons have signed a petition on change.org for the reversal of a Supreme Court ruling regarding the barring of a Kensington Primary School student sporting dreadlock hair. The Supreme Court on Friday ruled that the barring of a student from school was not unconstitutional. Since the ruling, debate has been rife across the island, with several persons taking to social media to air their discontent with the ruling and calling for change. Speaking on TVJ's Smile Jamaica on Monday, Director for the Institute of Caribbean Studies and Reggae Studies Unit at the UII, Dr. Sonja Stanley-Nair, says this case points to institutional racism.
Because at the heart of it, the Prime Minister must intervene so that we can get before cases and verdicts such as these, such that there is a step to have the Education Act reviewed. But even beyond that, a committee of sorts to assess the rules at various schools that are discriminatory. This should never have been a case in the first place. So even without any kind of legal knowledge, any kind of interest in the judgment, we're concerned about the fact that this was a case in the first place.
Attorney representing the family, Isaac Buchanan, says despite the Supreme Court ruling that the child's constitutional rights were not breached, he believes otherwise.
A simple question was put to the court. Can a school deny you access to education because you have dreadlocks on your hair? That's a yes or no question. And so regardless of technicalities, it is our position that her right to access to education, if nothing else, was breached.
Dr. Stanley-Nair says the ruling begs the question if we are truly emancipated.
We must take the bull by the horn. I can't forget Erna Broadbell's statements about the fact that the task of emancipation is yet incomplete. We are an independent country, but the Queen of England has more protection in the Constitution, the Jamaican Constitution, than ordinary Jamaican citizens. And I say that without any apology. And we must look at ourselves as an independent nation.
Now, as to the next step for the family, Mr. Buchanan says they are hoping the written judgment will be handed down before school resumes next month. He, however, noted that if the school is adamant on its rule, then an injunction will be sought from the Court of Appeal.
My hope is that it will not have to go there, but certainly in terms of the declarations that were sought, it's ironic because the very declaration that was sought, the Prime Minister is saying that that is exactly what he's going to do. So the family is very happy because the purpose of bringing the claim certainly was to give effect, to change the law and nothing more.
O'Shane Masters, TVJ News.
And children's advocate Diane Gordon Harrison is warning against speculating on the Supreme Court's decision without the written judgment. Mrs. Gordon Harrison says had there been a more measured response from the attorney for the family, the speculation in the public domain could have been avoided. She was speaking on Power 106 FM's Morning Agenda program.
Ideally, a written decision from the outset would have prevented this, I think. But also, I think there may be the expectation that responsible comments would have been made post to the oral decision that would not have led to all of this debate. Because what we have now is that the discussion has been skewed, if you will, because of an interpretation that has been put out there in extensive media interviews as to what may have led to or what is the underbelly of the particular decision.
August 1 Emancipation Day saw the launch of a new movement. Founder of Jam Abolishment Movement Don Foot says it seeks to abolish allegiance to England in favor of pledging allegiance to the people of Jamaica.
The time has come, and no better time than now, for us to bring this to an end. We want serious constitutional reform, fundamental constitutional reform, where we abolish allegiance to the Queen and show allegiance to the Jamaican people under a Republic of Jamaica.
One supporter argued that the period after emancipation should have brought more benefits to Jamaicans.
I would have expected that our people would have been given some form of liberty. They would have had access to land, which landlessness is a big issue. The Constitution of Jamaica, which still holds the Queen as head, and the lords are old colonial lords. So in reality, slavery is continuing. Yes. And as such, we need to see the total abolishment of slavery and colonialism out of Jamaica, not only here in Jamaica, but internationally.
He added that in order to be politically independent, the country must also be economically independent. The supporter adds that the economy must be controlled by descendants of enslaved African people and not the privileged few whose parents were colonial masters. The movement started on Saturday in Frome, Westmoreland at the Workers' Park, where the first labor unrest in Jamaica took place in 1938. Over 40 additional community health aides will be deployed to assist in the fight against COVID-19 in St. Mary. Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton made the announcement at a COVID-19 sensitization session in the parish recently. Shamela Pullen reports.
With the new school term set for September, there are growing concerns regarding the safety of children in the classrooms, especially students attending primary and basic schools. But Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton says it is why the ministry is going across the island to deploy community health aides to ensure that protocols are followed in the schools.
Children will always be children. And no matter how much you tell them that when they go to the bathroom, they must wash them hands, or they mustn't touch up one another. You were children once. They are going to try to do it. They are going to mean well in their behavior, but it's unlikely that you're going to have 100% compliance.
The World Health Organization had said children are seen as the main carriers of the virus. Dr. Tufton says while they cannot fully prevent persons from getting the virus, the aim is to minimize deaths and hospitalization as a result of the virus.
We have had cases in Jamaica, even with our success, where a parent picked up COVID from her child and she died. And so it is very possible. But what that means for you is that your job is that much more difficult. Because while you know that the child or the children are relatively safe, the truth is you have to protect the older ones who are at home.
Dr. Tufton is urging health workers to help citizens to understand their role in preventing and controlling infections. They want families to ensure that children are taught to observe the COVID-19 rules.
Put a little corner somewhere, let them take off them uniform, go straight into the bath, clean up, and come out looking brand new and fresh. In the past, they may come home and run up and down all over the place before them settle down for the evening. And you want to give them that little playtime. But now with COVID, the new normal is going to require that when them come from school, first thing them do is have a bath.
Shamela Pullen, TVJ News.
Meanwhile, Dr. Tufton is again insisting on personal responsibility in the fight against the coronavirus in Jamaica. The health minister noted that since the island's ports of entry were opened, the risk profile of the virus also increased. Since the opening of the ports, 20,000 Jamaicans have entered the country. Dr. Tufton says they have been asked to self-quarantine for the specified 14 days. However, the onus is on them to abide by the COVID-19 regulations.
There's nothing that any government, any police force, any army, any politician, any health worker can do to keep them in check. We can try. There are some who are going to be caught, who are going to be punished, because the law does allow for that. But if everybody decides to do whatever they want to do, understand that it is a recipe for chaos and confusion, and by extension, great burden in terms of the spread of the virus.
Dr. Tufton noted that his ministry is now monitoring a number of communities as there have been flare-ups of the virus.
Meaning people coming in, being told to stay home, and the day after they come in, they're gone on the road. Some of them leave the geofencing phone at home or transfer the call to another phone, and they are mingling.
And the health minister was speaking at the groundbreaking ceremony for the installation of a standby generator at the Port Maria Hospital in St. Mary. And it's time for a break here on the Midday News, but stay with us. We have many more stories when we return. Welcome back, and we're continuing the news. The parliamentary opposition is taking issue with the health ministry not providing details on the 2 deadly cases of the coronavirus which were reported on Sunday. Opposition spokesman on health, Dr. Maurice Guy, says the country must be told whether the individuals returned to the island recently.
The last information we had for Friday reported as 1 person being moderately ill. Now we are seeing now that 2 persons have subsequently died as a result of COVID. And further, the ministry has not revealed any information as to where these people are from. Is cause for further concern. Now, it now puts us in the position to determine and ask the government to determine where do we go from here. Are the 2 persons who died imported cases, or are they locally transmitted cases?
The opposition spokesman also wanted details on specific cases of the coronavirus reported by the health ministry.
We have seen that persistently for the past 2 weeks, the minister and the ministry have announced that the cases are under investigation. Now, it does not take as much as 2 weeks to determine whether they're under investigation. And quite frankly, we are seeing here where there is a series of local spread as a result of those who are coming positive over the period since the country reopened for the control re-entry program.
Criticism is this afternoon being leveled against Transport Minister Robert Montague by the parliamentary opposition for inaction to problems plaguing the Jamaica Urban Transit Company JUTC. It has been revealed that the Transport Ministry failed to conduct annual performance reviews of JUTC's board and did not hold it accountable for breaching government guidelines. The lack of oversight was outlined in the Auditor General's performance report of the bus company for the period 2014 to 2019. Opposition spokesman Michael Phillips says Mr. Montague appears to be falling down on the job. He's suggesting that it might be necessary for the Prime Minister to intervene.
We were hoping that he would have come with some data and come with a policy that would have improved the system, not only in the KMTR, but island-wide. The JUTC was not on his agenda. And as we are seeing now, as was said in the Auditor General's report, that the minister has been missing, the ministry has been missing. And we expect that the government will step in immediately to rescue the JUTC.
An additional 30,293 persons are now eligible to cast ballots in elections after being added to the new voters list. The updated list, which was published on Friday, has the names of more than 1.9 million electors. In a media release, the Electoral Office of Jamaica said 14,029 names were removed from the list. It includes 13,192 electors who were confirmed dead. The new voters list, which was due on May 31, was delayed due to the COVID-19 pandemic. And in sports, Jamaica Table Tennis Association presidential challenger Andrew Liu has laid out some strong demands of the Godfrey Lothian-led administration ahead of their meeting with the Dispute Resolution Foundation, DRF. TVJ Sports understands that both parties are now left to agree to a date with the DRF. This comes after the JOA last Tuesday deferred their planned mediation to the dispute resolution body because the matter went before the courts last September. Lou told TVJ Sports that there are some objectives he has put forward ahead of the meeting.
Going into the DRF, there are 3 things that we will absolutely not deviate from. 1, that we must have a clean voters list. 2, that we intend to receive audited statements for the full tenure of Lothian's term of office, 2013 to 2020. And 3, that Lothian, because of his dubious track record, cannot stand as a candidate for any position in the Jamaica Table Tennis Association.
Lou last week criticized the JOA for not mediating the issue based on the evidence provided. The Supreme Court ruling last September stated that the JTTA's special general meeting in January 2019 and annual general meeting the following month should be declared null and void. And that's it for the Midday News. I'm Andrea Chisholm. Join us at 7 for the Primetime News Package. On behalf of the news, sports and production teams, good afternoon.